We're not hiding anything. There haven't been any smoke and mirrors or any games. It's clearly written in the budget. Our friends across the way have said time and time again that the budget should not have exceeded 40 billion, that it should have been even well below 40 billion. What they haven't told us, though, is where they would have found 30 billion or 40 billion in savings. They didn't tell us what in the budget they would cut to achieve that. Canada's public debt with the deficit is 42% of GDP. Now, 40%, that's significant. We all agree that that's a significant debt. We're talking about massive amounts, but which equate to 40% of Canada's GDP. Now, we must keep in mind the order of magnitude here. We often hear about absolute numbers when talking about debt or deficit. So, for instance, $1 trillion in debt, big, huge numbers, of course, they shock us, but we need to always take these numbers in context, take them together with the context of our economy. We need to keep in mind the economy's ability to deal with that much debt, to absorb it. What we've seen since November is that financial markets are not at all in distress. Financial markets are absorbing the deficit very well. Canada's credit rating is still AAA. We have one of the best credit ratings in the world, which gives us priority access to financial markets to implement our ambitious plan. Our plan is ambitious, but within our means. We are able to make it happen. And as I said earlier, now is the time, and so we're taking action right now. In 2029-2030, Mr. Speaker, the deficit will be 1.5% of GDP. So we will decrease from 2.5% of GDP now to 1.5% of GDP in 2029-2030. That's totally manageable. And Canada's debt will rise to 43% of GDP, and now it is 42% of GDP. With the numbers as they are, I can assure members of this place that our Canadian economy will continue to do well, and we will be able to finance our plan while enjoying our AAA credit rating. All of this will allow us to reach our goals. The government has quickly implemented a host of measures to bring down costs and taxes for Canadians. We've cut taxes for 22 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker. We're also taking action to speed up residential construction and home building. Mr. Speaker, we must be able to support economic growth. Beyond that, we must always take care of our constituents. We must always be able to deliver the social programs which we value and which make Canada special, which make Canada what it is. What makes Canada special is this host of social programs we have and that we've had for a long time. We continue to support those programs. And these programs, I see that there are many excited members across the way, but I will continue. These programs continue to make life affordable for so many Canadians. Now, that is, of course, something we disagree upon. my colleagues across the way and my party. Social programs are expensive, of course, but those programs keep life affordable for millions of Canadians. Which programs am I referring to? Well, the Canada Child Benefit, the Canada Child Care Program. The child care program, the daycare program, makes it such that many more women can be in the workforce. So yes, the program has costs, but it makes life affordable and better for so many Canadians. If the opposition had their way and we eliminated some of these programs, that would have a counterproductive effect. That would make life much less affordable for millions of Canadians. Mr. Speaker, across the way, they might say, well, you have inflationary deficits. That's liberal inflation. Well, Mr. Speaker, I would need a lot more time than the time I do have to tell you that that is not the case. First and foremost, inflation in Canada right now is totally under control. Now, I understand that my friends across the way, some of them don't like the Bank of Canada. Their leader said in a speech, in a rather risky speech, that he would fire the governor of the Bank of Canada. Well, as it turns out, Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Canada is the G7 central bank, which was the first to successfully bring inflation back within the target range of 1% to 3%. The Bank of Canada successfully managed to control inflation without a recession, even though many said that a recession was inevitable. That inflation was not caused by budget deficits. There were many factors such as COVID, which impacted everyone in Canada, in the United States, in Europe, in Japan, in Korea. All developed countries experienced rising inflation. We were the first to get our inflation under control. Now, we must not confuse inflation with cost of living. Cost of living is the level of prices, and after a few years, the level of prices is high. There are, of course, problems with affordability and cost of living. But, Mr. Speaker, if we were to start slashing our social programs, we would make life less affordable for millions of Canadians. In the budget, there are also measures to support consumers, Mr. Speaker. Here's an example. In C15, there are affordability measures. For example, measures to support competition, to support consumers and businesses. Increasing competition is better for the economy. We need healthy competition for businesses. We need to help businesses compete better, innovate in order to stand out, and bring down operating costs. In Budget 2025, we are also addressing structural issues which have been slowing the Canadian economy for much too long. We will increase competition in areas where it is weak and in areas where regulation is too limiting or binding, we will lighten it. Regulation can become an obstacle. It can be an obstacle sometimes, though sometimes there are good reasons for regulations. I see that my time is running out, Mr. Speaker. In short, our budget is a great one. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary will have 7 minutes remaining after question period. And now, statements by members.
First, the Honourable Member for Carleton.
I rise to honour the remarkable life of William Herbert Lavin, an entrepreneur and patron of the arts. Bill passed away in Winnipeg on February 4th at the age of 95. He was predeceased by his equally remarkable wife, Shirley, and is survived by their children, Anne, Howard, Louise, Peter, and Jennifer, and many loved ones. From modest prairie roots, Bill founded Comcheck Services Limited and built it into Canada's largest independent payroll service provider. Bill believed deeply in the power of the arts to enrich our spirits. He was a member of the Order of Canada and an honorary member of the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra, the only person ever to receive that distinction. Bill had a profound impact on many lives, including mine, when he hired me at the age of 23. Canada is better because of Bill's leadership in business, love of country, passion for the arts, and the tremendous example of his life.
The honourable member for Elmwood Transcona.
Mr. Speaker, it is with great privilege that I rise in this House to honour an outstanding member of the Elmwood Transcona community, Peter Martin. Peter Martin is a tireless advocate for military veterans and the Transcona community in Winnipeg. He is a Métis veteran of the Canadian Army, a member of the Last Post Fund, the Missing Marker Program, and is also the organizer of Wreaths for Veterans at the Transcona Field of Honour. Peter is also the Manitoba coordinator for the No Stone Left Alone ceremonies, which brings children and veterans together to place poppies on veterans' headstones. This program educates our youth about our military veterans and gives veterans the opportunity to share their stories with our local youth. Peter, I would like to say to you, from me personally and from this House, thank you for everything that you do in service to our community and in service to our country. From the bottom of my heart, Peter, thank you.
The honourable member for Scarborough Centre, Don Valley East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to recognize Black History Month and the vital contributions of Black Canadians to our nation. The 2026 theme, 30 Years of Black History Month, Honoring Black Brilliance Across Generations, celebrates both our history and the promise of the future. This past Sunday, I had the honor of hosting a community Black History Month celebration in Scarborough Centre, Don Valley East. The event was inspiring, full of performances, reflections, and recognition of the richness of Black culture, heritage, and leadership. It reminded us that Black history is Canadian history. Black History Month also calls on us to continue addressing systemic barriers and creating a more inclusive society. I thank all the participants for sharing their stories and talents. Let us carry the lessons of this month forward, celebrating achievements, fostering understanding, and building a stronger, more equitable Canada for all. Thank you.
The honourable member for Airdrie Cochrane.
I rise to recognize the incredible performance of our tourism sector. Leading the way is my home province of Alberta, guided by the work of Travel Alberta under the leadership of David Goldstein. Alberta's tourism sector reached a $14.4 billion in visitor spending in 2024, receiving global recognition as a destination of choice from several leading travel international publications. Alberta is creating and promoting new must-visit destinations, improving air access and attracting additional private sector investment. I congratulate the hardworking businesses, operators, and workers that are key to Alberta's vibrant visitor economy. Tourism is proving essential to diversification, job creation and growth, and delivering new opportunities in every corner of the province. Alberta's success shows what's possible nationwide if the federal government recognizes the power of tourism to diversify and grow our economy and to create trade opportunities and prosperity for all Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Les Pays d'en Haut. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to mark the 50th anniversary of the Club Fondeur Laurentide in 1975. Phys ed teacher Marc Desjardins decided that cross-country skiing was an excellent way to keep our young people active. Over time, the club has grown and now has more than 650 members from municipalities throughout the Lower Laurentians. The Club Fondeur organizes nothing less than the largest school cross-country ski race in Canada for more than 2,000 young people, in addition to hosting the Coupe Québec at the Sommet Morin Heights site in the Pays d'en Haut. I want to commend all of the coaches, board members, parent volunteers, and specifically President Dan Tanbouy former president Daniel Roch, head coach Rémi Brière, and of course founder Marc Desjardins, who 50 years later is still bursting with energy and remains involved in all aspects of the club. Congratulations to everyone, and long live the Laurentides Cross Country Ski Club.
For Windsor-Tecumseh Lakeshore.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today on behalf of the people of Windsor-Tecumseh Lakeshore who are counting on me to defend their jobs and their future. I'm here to fight to protect our workers and the automotive industry that sustains our community. On Monday, Liberals and the Bloc voted down the Conservative motion that would have strengthened Canada's automotive sector. For our community, that decision is deeply concerning. Windsor is highly dependent on a strong auto industry to keep a robust and healthy local economy. By defeating this motion, this House missed an opportunity to provide certainty and stability for our local manufacturing and economic growth. The ripple effects will be felt across our community in workplaces, in storefronts, and around kitchen tables. I will continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with our workers and fight relentlessly to protect our industry and the livelihoods it supports. Thank you.
The honourable member for Vancouver Centre.
Mr. Speaker, as we enter the 5th year of Russia's invasion of sovereign Ukraine, I want to bring attention to the ongoing abduction of Ukrainian children. Over 35,000 Ukrainian children have been abducted since the start of the war, stolen from their families through manipulation, coercion, and violence, and relocated to Russia for ideological re-education, military training, and abuse. Only 2,000 have been repatriated. The United Nations demands their immediate and unconditional return. This forcible abduction of children to de-Ukrainize them is a grave violation of international law. The Geneva Convention is clear on this issue. No child should have their identity erased. Russia is now bartering a child for the return of each Russian prisoner of war. This is a disgusting violation of the rights of the child. Canada must continue to lead on this issue. Ukraine's war is our war. Ukraine's children is our children.
The honourable member for Windsor West.
Mr. Speaker, around the world there are few festivals as instantly recognizable as Holi. Streets become rivers of vibrant color as music and dancing fill the air. But beyond the color and celebration lies something deeper, the timeless reminder of triumph of good over evil, of light over darkness, and renewal for a brighter future. As a proud member of the Indian diaspora who had made Canada home over 4 decades ago, I know how meaningful this day is for Hindu families in Windsor and across our country. Holi is not just a festival of colors, it is a bridge between generations, connecting children through faith stories and teaching us all lessons in resilience, humility, and hope. I want to acknowledge the tremendous work of the Hindu Mandir and the Gurdwara in Windsor. They are pillars of service, charity, and community. As spring arrives, may the vibrant colors of Holi help us carry forward the spirit of optimism and faith in our hearts as well as in our communities and our country. To all celebrating, I wish them happy Holi.
The honourable member for Yellowhead.
Mr. Speaker, I'm heartbroken by the tragic loss of 2 young ladies, Danica Hills and Kayla Peacock, following a fatal collision near Jasper in my riding of Yellowhead. These 2 Herring College High School students were dedicated hockey players with the Jasper Bearcats and were driving home after practice. Their passing has left an unimaginable void in the hearts of their families, friends, and the wider Hinton and Jasper communities. We are mourning the loss of the 2 beloved daughters, sisters, classmates, and teammates. My deepest condolences are with their loved ones. No parent should ever have to lose a child. No community should have to bear such a loss. My thoughts are with you as a parent of 2 daughters. In moments like this, being there for one another matters more than ever. May their memory be eternal. May their loved ones find strength in the days ahead.
The honourable member for Humber River Black Creek.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. At this critical hour, Canada calls on Russia to cease hostilities and withdraw to Ukraine's internationally recognized borders. Canada condemns deliberate Russian attacks on energy infrastructure that deprive civilians of both heat and electricity. Canada recently announced $2 billion in military assistance for 2026 and 27, including over 400 armored vehicles and an additional $20 million for the Ukraine Energy Support Fund. Furthermore, Canada has sanctioned 21 individuals, 53 entities, and 100 shadow fleet vessels and lowered the Russian oil price cap. I commend Canada's leadership in the coalition for the return of Ukrainian children and support accountability before the International Criminal Court. For 4 years, families have endured profound hardship, yet their courage endures. Canada stands firmly with Ukraine for freedom, justice, and a durable peace with legally binding security guarantees. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge.
Mr. Speaker, after 11 years of this Liberal government, the cost of living crises is crushing young Canadians and seniors alike. An RBC poll shows that 64% of millennials are anxious about their future, and 57% have nothing left at month's end. 4 in 10 fear that they'll never escape their debts. TransUnion Canada reports household debts has surged to a record $2.6 trillion, driven largely by mortgages as families take on staggering debt just to keep a roof overhead. Today, the Financial Post reported that only 41% believe they'll have enough to retire, with most worried they will not have enough savings to live securely. Seniors in my communities are asking how are they supposed to survive with the ever-escalating costs of groceries and everything else. When will the Liberals rein in inflationary deficits, lower costs, and restore an economy where Canadians can finally get ahead?
The honourable member for Markham-Stouffville.
Mr. Speaker, March 4th is World Obesity Awareness Day, and we should be aware of the serious situation that Canada is facing. In 1981, just 9% of Canadians lived with obesity. Now, according to a recent study in the Canadian Medical Association Journal, it's risen to roughly a third of Canadians. We have one of the highest rates of obesity in the OECD. What's troubling is that obesity is a strong predictor of health complications, including cardiovascular disease, diabetes, liver and kidney diseases, and cancer. Obesity is a chronic disease that's placing enormous pressure on an already overburdened healthcare system. But by taking action to prevent and treat obesity, we can improve our healthcare systems. Personalized lifestyle changes, such as diet and exercise, and when necessary, medical interventions like pharmacotherapy or bariatric surgery can all help to improve the health of Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Montcalm. Mr. Speaker, on February 16th at 8 p.m., my friend Jacques Tremblay passed away. Jacques was a key figure in the political world of Montcalm. He made his mark as president of the Bloc Québécois in Montcalm, but also as a city councillor for the city of Mascouche and as a political aide to the member of Parliament for Montcalm. Yes, after years of adversity in 2015, we joined forces to win back Montcalm, driven by a common cause, the country of Quebec. We traveled many miles, my friend, to meet the people of Montcalm. I knew you as a man passionate about social justice, a tad impulsive, but above all, full of humanity. A man who deeply loved people and his family. You were so proud of your sons, Francis and Guillaume, your daughter Émilie, and your grandchildren. Bon voyage, Jacques. Rest in peace, my friend.
The honourable member for Sault Ste. Marie-Algoma.
Speaker, I'd like to recognize two outstanding athletes from Sault Ste. Marie-Algoma who have made our region and our country immensely proud. From Thessalon, Shiloh Rousseau reached Olympic stage in the biathlon, a sport she had pursued since the age of 12. Inspired by her father himself, a former member of Canada's national team, her dedication to a demanding sport that combines cross-country skiing and precision marksmanship speaks to years of discipline and perseverance. And from the Sioux curlers, Brad Jacobs has once again earned gold for our men's curling team, his second after winning gold in Sochi in 2014. Brad has been a cornerstone of Canadian curling with steady resolve, sportsmanship, and a deep pride in his hometown. Their achievements reflect not only talent and discipline, but the strength of the communities that stand behind them. Mr. Speaker, I call on this House to hurry hard and congratulate these two athletes, as well as all of our Canadian athletes that did so well at this past Olympics. Thank you.
The honourable member for Sarnia-Lambton, Bikejwanong.
Mr. Speaker, this week the Prime Minister stated that he had the immigration system under control. Well, let's review the facts. 86% of rejected asylum claimants stay in Canada. 25,000 have been let in without security screening, some of them from the most dangerous countries in the world. And right now, the CBSA has 33,000 non-citizens listed as wanted criminals in Canada. At the end of this year, 3 million temporary residents will have their visas expire, but the government has no plan to remove them. And the 1.5 million temporary residents that had their permits expire last year, the Liberals assume they left, but they don't know. This is not a system under control, Mr. Speaker. It's a system out of control because the Liberals destroyed the fair, compassionate, and secure system that the Conservatives created. That was the envy of the world. The Prime Minister needs to take accountability and finally fire his incompetent Liberal immigration minister.
The honourable member for Winnipeg South.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise to honour the life and legacy of Bill Laban, for many years a proud resident of St. Norbert and a true community builder in Winnipeg South. Bill was a successful business leader whose entrepreneurial drive was matched only by his generosity. Through his philanthropy, he strengthened institutions across Manitoba, including the Behavioral Health Foundation, and quietly supported initiatives that continue to serve families to this day. St. Norbert was at the heart of his life. He understood its historic significance and worked tirelessly to preserve its distinctive character. As co-founder of Heritage St. Norbert, he helped safeguard its history and champion projects like the St. Norbert's Farmers Market, now a cherished gathering place for so many. I extend my sincere condolences to Bill Laban's family and to all those who had the privilege of knowing him. Canada has lost a remarkable community leader, and his legacy will endure for generations. Thank you.
Oral questions. Questions orales. The honourable member for Thornhill.
Minister couldn't get up in her chair and defend her record. She can't tell us how many rejected asylum seekers remain in Canada, or how many thousands of people came here without a proper security screening, or just the most basic answers about her job. Her signature bill, C3, could give citizenship to millions of people abroad with the click of a button, and she has no details and no explanations. So I have a simple question for the minister. How many people under this piece of legislation become Canadian?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, this has been not a good week for the Conservative Party of Canada. This has been a week where they put at question our constitutional, to say nothing of our humanitarian obligation to look after people who are sick or injured on our territory, including the children who are fleeing war zones, including in Ukraine, or Syrian refugees or others, Mr. Speaker. It is a shameful thing that the Conservative Party have decided, of all the issues, to come back to this House and talk about these things.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
That minister still won't get up in her chair and answer basic questions about her job. Nearly 3 million temporary visa holders are nearing expiry without a clear plan, and potentially millions of of more are going to become citizens, but nobody over there can stand up and answer a single detailed question about legislation in this House. The only response they tell to this side is to call them bad people for asking questions about the legislation. Does anybody over there truly believe that that minister deserves her job, or are there somebody in the backbench that can do it better?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, let me just say at the outset, the Minister of Immigration is doing an outstanding job, Mr. Speaker. If you look at the numbers, we have asylum that is down by 1/3. We have temporary foreign workers that are down by 50%, and international students reduced by 60%, Mr. Speaker. We're taking control of our immigration system. We have, as of last year, 2025, removed 22,000 individuals who are ineligible to be in Canada. This is work that we're doing, and we will ensure that Canada remains an open and free society for immigrants and refugees.
The Honourable Member for Grand Prairie.
Mr. Speaker, he promised affordable groceries. He's given us the highest food inflation in the G7. He promised to spend less, and yet the deficit is now double, and Canadians are now paying more in interest than health care. He promised homes people could afford, but the prices have never been worse. RBC is now reporting that it's the hardest on young Canadians who say at the end of the month that there's nothing left to save. When will this Prime Minister reverse his liberal inflationary spending so young Canadians can finally save for a home in this country again?
Mr. Speaker, I know it's Thursdays, but I have good news for the House. Canada has received the highest level of foreign direct investment in 18 years, Mr. Speaker. 18 years, but yeah, we should all applaud and rejoice in this House. Even the Conservatives should be happy. I know it's Thursday, Mr. Speaker, but in their heart, I know that they're happy that Canada is attracting investment, that Canada is leading in the world, that Canada is building a country that everyone will want to be in, Mr. Speaker, because on this side of the House, we believe in Canada.
The Honourable Member for Grand Prairie.
Well, Mr. Speaker, just listen to that minister and his high-flying friends. They think everything is great, but Mr. Speaker, we know that inflation is good news for the wealthy and for the bankers, but I can tell you that Canadians, young Canadians, are being the hardest hit by this inflation. TransUnion is reporting that Canadians have now taken on a record-breaking $2.6 trillion in household debt. This debt is attached to mortgages. Canadians are breaking the bank just to keep a roof over their head. When will this Liberal Prime Minister end his inflationary spending to Canadians?
Mr. Speaker, we will take no lesson from this. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we have taken affordability measures. When it was the time not to speak, not to ask questions, but to vote, Mr. Speaker, they voted against dental care. They voted against pharmacare. They voted against the National School Food Program. They voted about every measure that will help Canadians, Mr. Speaker. Canadians at home know who's standing with them. We have their back. We're going to build this country, Mr. Speaker. We'll have the strongest economy in the G7. We believe in Canada, Mr.
L'honorable député de Bellechasse.
The Honourable Member for Bellechasse-les-Échemins-Lévis. On this side of the House, we have other things to talk about because under 11 years under these Liberals, young adults are at the end of the rope. An RBC survey shows that 64 of them are living with financial anxiety. 57% have nothing left after they've paid their bills. Meanwhile, Canadian household debt is shattering records, especially because of the cost of housing. Millennials are stuck between crushing taxes and inflationary deficits. They can barely survive. When will this government finally show some common sense? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, common sense would be for the Conservatives to vote for measures that will promote affordability. I wonder where my colleague was when she could have been voting for pharmacare. Where was she when she could have been voting for dental care? Where was she when we were voting for the national school lunch program and for childcare? On this side of the House, we will always be there for Canadians. We will support Canadians with affordability measures. The honourable member for Bellechasse-Lévis. Well, where is the minister who's supposed to be helping take care of seniors? For example, Jeannette Larrivée is 81 years old and she can't enjoy her retirement. Instead, she's sending out CVs because she doesn't have enough money to put food on the table. In Lanaudière, the number of job seekers above 75 has gone from 3 to 14%. These liberal ministers are not taking care of anyone, especially not seniors. The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, seniors who are watching us from home understand something. They know there's a difference between rhetoric in the House and this government's actions. We have taken clear action. For example, the groceries benefit, which is a concrete measure which will help people throughout the country and will help our seniors and families. That is exactly what people expect from a responsible government. I hope our Conservative colleagues will go to their ridings next week and talk about how that benefit will help families. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals have said that Curram is a success story, but it's actually harming 85,000 retirees. Yesterday, the Minister of Jobs said that it's no big deal when people don't get their OAS because, according to her, people don't depend on these payments on a monthly basis because they are new beneficiaries. But all retirees include their pension when they're making their financial plans, and some of them only have their pension as an income. How can the Liberals be so disconnected? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, we had an outdated system from the 70s. It was causing so many mistakes, it was unreliable. So this government stepped up and decided to start a broad project to transform the system into a new functional system that enables people to sign up for themselves. It will serve 7.7 million Canadians. In fact, it's already helping these Canadians. The Honourable Member, well, the member is saying that it's working and that it hasn't been expensive. That is exactly why the National Assembly of Quebec has unanimously asked for an arm's length inquiry. Because if you listen to the Liberals, well, we'll never hear the truth about the current problems because they don't think there's a problem. They don't think it's an issue if 85,000 retirees are seeing errors with their pension. They don't think it's an issue. They don't think it's an issue if cost overruns are $5 billion. They don't see it as a cost overrun. They just say, well, it costs more than we planned at the beginning, but it's not a cost overrun. Listen, every time I hear their answers, we see that we need an inquiry. When will there be an inquiry? The Honourable Minister.
I'll get up again and explain exactly what we are doing here, which is exactly what Canadians expect, Mr. Speaker. They expect modern systems that provide benefits in a seamless way that they can actually apply for online, and that's exactly the programs that we are designing for seniors. 7.7 million seniors are already on the new system. There are 2 more benefits plans to go, Mr. Speaker, employment insurance and CPP. And Mr. Speaker, we are confident that Canadians know this is exactly what they need for the next generation.
The Honourable Member for Abitibi-Témiscamingue. Mr. Speaker, all of the Quebec parties want this government to stop wasting Quebecers' money. Like with Phoenix, Arrivecan and Curram, every time Ottawa takes on one of these IT contracts, it turns into a scandal. Just with those 3 projects, the Liberals have wasted more than $10 billion in cost overruns. Meanwhile, Quebecers are seeing a situation where we don't even know if we have enough money for our kids' school trips. Quebec is fed up with this. When will there finally be an arm's length inquiry on federal IT contracts? The Honourable Minister.
I think the question is about old age security, so I'll stick to that program. And in fact, that 60-year-old program, which was fraught with problems, was something that the government of Canada sought to modernize, because in fact Canadians now expect to be able to apply for their benefits online, to be able to have more control about how they apply for their benefits. And in fact, 7.7 million Canadians have transitioned to this new program. For some particular cases with difficult information, we have seen some delays, and as that member knows, we are seeing a decline in...
The honourable member for Parkland.
Mr. Speaker, the situation out there is dire. After 11 years of Liberal inflation, housing unaffordability, and job insecurity, Canadians, particularly young Canadians, are facing the consequences. You know, we used to take pride in this country when we said that the next generation will be better off than the one before, but for young Canadians today, that just isn't the case. Under these Liberals, the well-off are better off than ever before, but those struggling to get ahead are falling further and further behind. When will these Liberals finally get off the backs of Canadians for a change? The
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, Mr. Speaker, this government is squarely focused on opportunity. And opportunity means good job opportunities, and opportunity means affordable homes. As the members might know, C4, our bill is in front of the Senate right now, and it's eliminating GST for first-time home buyers on homes up to $1 million. We have a bill in front of the House right now, Bill C-20 for Build Canada Homes, because we are focused on making sure that this generation of Canadians, millennials in particular, can get into the housing market and have an affordable home to build. But these Conservatives seem to want to stall our housing agenda every step of the way. They should get on board.
The honourable member for Parkland.
Well, Mr. Speaker, Liberal spin can't avoid the facts. Under this Prime Minister, the rich are getting richer, while working Canadians are falling further and further behind. Liberal inflation has made the bankers rich, but the cost of food, vehicles and housing is out of reach. Young people are facing record high unemployment, and even those who are lucky enough to have a job can't even afford to pay their bills, let alone save for these million-dollar homes these Liberals are talking about. We need to restore jobs with powerful paychecks to ensure that the next generation can be better off. Conservatives are fighting for that future. When are these Liberals going to get on board?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, you know what Canadians are tired of? They are tired of this rhetoric that says that Canada is broken and we're not getting ahead. They elected a government with a plan, Mr. Speaker, a plan that is cutting taxes for 22 million Canadians, that is delivering a groceries and essentials benefit to put much-needed money back in the pockets of many Canadian families, that is committed to affordable childcare, saving families upwards of $10,000 a year. Those are measurable plans to make life better and more affordable for Canadians. We're proud of that. I wish the Conservatives would stand with us.
The honourable member for Cloverdale, Langley City.
All 5 of my children are married and raising families of their own, and like so many young Canadians, they're working hard just trying to not fall into debt. Home repairs, music lessons, cadet uniforms, gas to drive kids to activities, the everyday costs of raising a family, it all adds up. Saving is nearly impossible right now. 64% of millennials are worried about their future. Parents doing everything right, yet still falling behind. When will this government lower costs so Canadian families can stop worrying about just staying afloat and start planning for their future again?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for Housing and Infrastructure.
Our government cares deeply about affordability for young Canadians. That's why we have the first-time home buyer relief for the GST before the House. That's also why we're improving the cost of housing. We're bringing it down by investing in housing-enabling infrastructure, by investing in modern methods of construction. And importantly, this is going to create good-paying, highly trained, skilled jobs for young Canadians. We're going to build careers and we're going to build homes.
The honourable member for Cloverdale, Langley City.
When I look at my grandchildren, I think about the lives they should be able to build. Going to university, buying a first home, raising families of their own, and believing that hard work will allow them to get ahead. But today, their parents are struggling just to cover everyday costs and save for their own future. And it's slipping out of reach with household debt now at $2.6 trillion. How can this Liberal government justify spending today in ways that will fundamentally limit the future of our grandchildren?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Conservatives claim they care about young people, yet they voted against the National Housing Strategy. They voted against the Home Savings Account. They voted against expanding mortgage criteria. They're voting against the GST cut. They're voting against C227 to establish a national strategy for housing for young Canadians. A vote against these measures is a vote against young Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Provencher.
Mr. Speaker, young Canadians face rising food costs, rising debts, and rising house prices. You know what else is rising? Their fears about their futures. This Liberal government only provides more excuses, more deficits, and more broken promises. In my hometown of Steinbach, the price of a single-family home has gone up 8% this last year. This generation should be building wealth, but instead they're falling further behind, despite everything that they're doing. With millennials squeezed between rising costs and their desire of home ownership, when will this Liberal government finally lower the costs and make living in Canada affordable again?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Sport.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Look, Canadians are sick and tired of these alternative conservative facts from the opposition, Mr. Speaker. We all know that food costs too much, but instead of exploiting the challenges that are facing Canadians right now, the Conservatives should do a little bit of reading and look into why food costs too much, Mr. Speaker. All the research indicates that 85% of the food inflation is due to imported factors like war and tariffs and extreme weather due to climate change, something that Conservatives refuse to acknowledge and don't believe in, Mr. Speaker. Look, the groceries and essentials benefit will help 12.6 million Canadians. Why won't the Conservatives get on board and help a Canadian for a change?
The Honourable Member for Edmonton-Griesbach.
Reckless government spending, hidden carbon taxes, red tape. After 11 years of these Liberals, there's an affordability crisis. Household debt alone is now a record $2.6 trillion. A recent poll found 57% of millennials are nearly broke after paying monthly bills. A generation that should be building wealth is draining savings. Mr. Speaker, this week, several university students told me they fear they'll never afford a home. It's a Canadian dream to own a home, but under these Liberals, it's now just a pipe dream. Why?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
It is quite something to hear the Conservatives talk about household debt and the concerns, the real concerns of middle-income and low-income Canadians, but at the same time call over the years, and I think it's still their position, that the Canada Child Benefit should be eliminated, that the school food program has no place in Canada. They don't want child care for kids. The list goes on and on. Dental care, I could go on pharmacare. This is not a serious approach. What we do have on this side is exactly that, an opportunities agenda seized with jobs in this country, building the country up, making sure we get our resources to market, and building the infrastructure to do it. That's what we need.
The Honourable Member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, a recent RBC survey revealed that 64% of millennials are anxious about the future, and 40% fear that they'll never be able to pay back their debts. Meanwhile, TransUnion has confirmed that Canadian household debt has reached a historic amount, $2.6 billion. After years of Liberal inflationary deficits, young Canadians are taking on debt just to survive. Mr. Speaker, how many more failures do we need before the Liberals finally admit that they have broken affordability in Canada? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Housing. Mr. Speaker, we have taken a number of measures to help young Canadians buy a home. Build Canada Homes will reduce pressure on the market and lower prices. And beyond that, it's ironic to hear the Conservatives complain about this, given that they voted against the home buyer's account. They voted against broadening mortgage criteria and all of the other affordability policies we've brought in to help young Canadians. On this side of the House, we are in solutions mode, but they only know how to block. The Honourable Member for Mirabel. Mr. Speaker, the federal government promised to apologize to the victims of expropriation in Mirabel and that it would never cause this problem again. But in C-15, the Liberals and the Conservatives have been giving Alto exceptional powers to expropriate people for high-speed rail. They are getting rid of the right to have a commissioner. They are getting rid of community impact studies, and they're preventing farmers who might experience a disaster from rebuilding. No one else in Canada has to put up with this kind of thing. Why do people on the North Shore end up being treated like second-class citizens by this government? The Honourable Minister of Transport. Mr. Speaker, we know that the Bloc Québécois is opposed to this major project, the high-speed rail project between Quebec City and Toronto. This is a project that all Canadians really want to see. We are going to ensure that this project is done properly, respectfully. We will show respect for farmers, elected officials, for community members along the proposed route. The high-speed rail project is for all Canadians, and we will ensure that it is implemented in a sensitive manner. The Honourable Member. Well, Mr. Speaker, despite what the Minister says, if the Liberals really want to succeed with their high-speed rail project, they're not going to accomplish that by giving Alto these expropriation powers. They need social acceptability, and that's not what's happening right now. People in Mirabel, Mascouche, and Terrebonne want to be able to have input on the route. The entire region wants to see economic benefits. Farmers and people in general feel disrespected. When will the Liberals get back to the drawing board with everyone to ensure that they can finally obtain social acceptability? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, Alto has a mandate to carry out consultations on the ground. It will be listening to people's ideas, concerns throughout the proposed route. And in fact, they had a consultation this very week. They have had consultations in Mirabel. We will continue to listen closely to what people have to say, and we will continue to advocate for this major national interest project. Will the Bloc Québécois do the same?
Honourable Member for Calgary-Midnapore.
The government told Canadians their new benefits software program would cost $1.75 billion and that it would not be launched without conditions of success being met. Estimates have the actual cost at almost 3 times as much, $6.6 billion. And reports confirm that the government's own service standards are not being met. In fact, last month there was a backlog of 85,000 new benefit applications. These are Canadians who need these benefits for basic essentials like food and shelter. Can the minister explain to seniors who are forced to pay the price of yet another failed Liberal program why it is way over budget?
The Honourable Minister for Jobs and Families.
I think, Mr. Speaker, let's start with the difference between an estimate and an expenditure. An estimate is what things might cost. In fact, we're way under the estimate as it stands, and we've just started, Mr. Speaker. We have transformed a very old system, 60 years old, something I would point out the Conservatives let decay under their 10 years of government. We took action early on in 2017 to modernize a system, Mr. Speaker, that Canadians depend on day in and day out. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the caseload of backlogs are going down. We have dedicated staff working day and night. And finally, Mr. Speaker,
the Honourable Member for Calgary-Midnapore.
Well, this minister should do her research. She should be well aware that the Auditor General confirmed in 2023 and 2025 that program costs had increased significantly and would continue to rise. A review by the Treasury Board in 2022 came to the same conclusions, and her own department had to push back the OAS migration 3 times. Right. In fact, 3 years ago, her bureaucrats admitted the costs had already doubled for the new program, even though no benefits had yet moved to the new system. Can the minister explain to seniors who are forced to pay the price why yet another failed Liberal program is way over budget?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, if 7.7 million migrations to a new system is a failure and 85,000 cases comparatively with missing information on paper applications is considered a failure, I'm not sure how they're doing accounting. Quite frankly, Mr. Speaker, Canadians expect modernization of legacy systems that serve them every day, day in and day out. We will not tolerate the risk of aging systems failing and creating a disaster for seniors. That's why we're taking action, and we are seeing success.
The Honourable Member for Carleton Trail, Eagle Creek.
The current software has cost Canadians $5 billion more than what was originally budgeted. To add insult to injury, hundreds of seniors have been delayed from receiving their benefits. An overdue update to an outdated technology has turned into a nightmare for Canadians, with tens of thousands of cases backlogged. Why is it that Liberal programs always massively exceed their projected costs? And why are seniors forced to pay the price for their incompetence and yet another failed federal software system?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, our government is taking action on a critical software program. It is a program that was stalled in 1966. Let's wrap our heads around that for a moment. My mother was 10 years old. Many of the members on the other side hadn't been born yet. That is what they are suggesting the government move forward with. A system that the Auditor General flagged as a high risk for failure. We need to modernize our systems. This system has already brought 7.7 million seniors on board. More will come.
The Honourable Member for Carleton Trail, Eagle Creek.
The Liberals continue to deny that there are any cost overruns for Curum, and even though the Auditor General herself reported 4 in 2025, Canadian seniors deserve better than denial. I'll ask the same question, and I'd like a serious answer from the Minister. Why can't the Liberals stay on budget? And why are our seniors being forced to pay the price for yet another Liberal failure?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, it would be nice to have a serious question. One rooted in facts.
Yes.
One rooted in numbers.
Here, here.
To date, $1.5 billion has been spent. I don't know where their numbers are coming from. La La Land, perhaps. But let's stay in reality here, Mr. Speaker. This benefit system is modernizing something from 1966.
Wow.
7.7 million seniors are better serviced today. We are modernizing it, bringing it online.
That's right.
Things the Conservatives don't give a crud about.
Whoa.
Don't quite know what to make of that. The Honourable Member for King Vaughan.
Mr. Speaker, the system meant to help our seniors becomes another expensive disaster. This government continues to hire incompetent consultants that massively overrun their budgets by $5 billion. The President of the Public Service criticized the government, saying if the system had been designed by public servants, it would have been easier to maintain and understand, as the experts would have been in-house. Why doesn't this government trust our public servants that they would do a better job than their rich consultants?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, I just can't tolerate the Conservatives talking down the good work of our public servants. Our public servants are overseeing the management of a specialized software program. Now, I know that they might not have any interest or desire to know about IT systems, but this requires specialized training and expertise. These are not jobs that last forever in the government. These are jobs we need to procure for specific reasons. That's what we are doing to make sure that Canadians' dollars are well spent on ensuring we modernize.
The Honourable Député d'Acadie Bathurst.
The Honourable Member for Acadie Bathurst.
The Minister of Finance will say it's already Thursday, but we still have good news. Dans ma province, Nouveau-Brunswick.
In New Brunswick, the forestry industry has over 25,000 jobs and injects huge amounts into our economy every year. The United States imposed unfair tariffs on our softwood lumber. As a response, the government has already announced $2.5 million in support, but we know that people need even more help. Can my colleague inform us of new measures announced to support the forestry industry? The Honourable Minister for the Arctic and the North.
Member from Acadie Bathurst for his leadership in fighting for our forest workers
And I fully agree, our forestry sector is essential to our country.
That's right.
Yesterday, our government announced the reopening of 4 programs to support the forestry sector, as well as funding to strengthen forestry companies in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. These programs will deliver $500 million to support innovation, market diversification, and the competitiveness of our forest companies. Our government will always stand for forestry workers in the face of American tariffs.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent, Akia-Wenrac. Mr. Speaker, whenever the Liberal government takes on a major IT program project, it ends in disaster. Remember ArriveCan? It was supposed to cost $80,000, but it ended up costing $59.5 million. And now we have Curam. It was supposed to cost $1.6 billion. It cost $6.6 billion. That's $5 billion more. That's $5 billion down the drain. How are these Liberals so incapable of managing their spending? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, in some cases, sometimes, I really wonder about the premise of opposition questions, but the member for Louis Saint Laurent knows better. He knows that this program is within budget. He understands that the program is replacing outdated software from the 60s, which was not best serving old age security recipients. Now we have a modern, up-to-date system giving 7.7 million Canadians and more their benefits. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent, Akia-Wenrac. Mr. Speaker, thank you. I am indeed the member for Louis Saint Laurent, Akia-Wenrac. 85,000 people, 85,000 seniors are affected, and seniors are among the most vulnerable. They need their old age security payments. Unfortunately, this very minister said that this program is a success story. He said there are only a few cases, 85,000 cases. That's how many there are. How is the minister so arrogant? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, what would be arrogant would be to keep using a system that was making more mistakes than that. It would have been arrogant to ignore this outdated system that was not precise and was constantly making mistakes. We would not do that, Mr. Speaker, so we took note of it. We set a budget, and in fact, we were under budget. We're also delivering Canadians a system that will make payments precisely and correctly. And if there are any cases, we will help people one by one, and the number of cases is going down every day. The Honourable Member for Montmorency, Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, the Champlain Bridge in Montreal, 60 million cars cross it every year. When it was 75 years old, it was replaced, and that replacement project cost $4.2 billion. On the other hand, we have 60-year-old computer software. It's supposed to serve 7 million people. There were cost overruns of $5 billion. $5 billion. How is that even possible? That's more than it costs to rebuild one of the busiest bridges in America. The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
It's a software system. In fact, it's going to serve 3 separate... In fact, it's going to... Sorry, Mr. Speaker, can I continue? Thank you.
The honourable minister may continue. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, let's take a step back. Curam is a software system. It's used around the world, by the way, Mr. Speaker, for benefit payments in countries all over the world. In fact, each country needs to specialize that system because, of course, benefit rules vary in different countries. In fact, the number the member opposite is quoting is the total envelope that it could take for 3 separate benefit systems.
The Honourable Member for Montmorency, Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, Curam is the federal version of SACLIC. The software was supposed to cost $1.6 billion. They're up to $6.6 billion, and that money comes from taxpayers' pockets.
This week, the Prime Minister told us that everything is fine, all well and dandy, $5 billion cost overrun, that's fine. That's, a success story. There are 85,000 seniors waiting for their benefit payments. This government, they spend freely, they downplay their failures, and they pat themselves on the back.
Mr. Speaker, on the contrary, I've been in front of committee talking about these numbers and being very transparent with Canadians. In fact, here's the number, 7.7 million recipients of OAS on the new system receiving their benefits on time without a hitch. There are some cases that are more complicated. They are paper-based applications. We have dedicated staff working with these individuals. If the member opposite has a person in their riding that needs urgent help, we can also do that. These payments can be processed within 24 to 48 hours.
Honourable member for Foothills.
The Agriculture Minister gave his word to farmers that he would support a request for emergency use of strychnine. Prairie farmers were devastated last season, some losing 20% of their yield. Denying the request from Alberta and Saskatchewan is another Liberal broken promise when farmers needed them the most. It's also further proof that this Agriculture Minister does not have clout at the Cabinet table. Will the Minister keep his word to farmers? Will he reassess this decision with a lens on economic impact and food security?
Yes. Honourable Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the question from my colleague. Extremely important question for the Prairie Provinces in Alberta, Mr. Speaker. I'm certainly disappointed, and I've said it publicly, that I supported the application. I'm disappointed in the PMR's decision, but ultimately they're an independent agency, Mr. Speaker. We'll keep working with the provinces and the farmers to find an effective alternative, Mr. Speaker. It's crucial that our farmers and producers have the tools they need to feed Canadians, and we'll do all we can to help them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Foothills.
Disappointed. The Agriculture Minister gave his word to farmers. He gave his word to the provinces. He broke that promise again when farmers needed him the most. This summer, and I can't understate this, if we do not have access to strychnine and the gopher population continues to explode, the damage on the prairies will be catastrophic. Again, will the minister keep his word to farmers? Will he reassess this decision, or will he see another disaster on the Canadian prairies?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I went before committee, and this honourable member asked me a question relevant to what I advocate on behalf of the farmers about strychnine in the Prairie Provinces in Alberta. Mr. Speaker, that's exactly what I did. He's exaggerating the facts, Mr. Speaker. It's in committee. It's in the Hansard. Anybody can go and look at it, Mr. Speaker.
Getting a little loud over here again. Getting a little loud over there. Getting a little loud. Yeah. Okay. We're going to go now to the honourable member for Bow River.
Mr. Speaker, prairie farmers have warned that uncontrolled Richardson's ground squirrel populations have surged since the loss of strychnine, causing millions of dollars in losses. For decades, farmers used strychnine safely and effectively. Today's alternatives are far less effective. On multiple occasions, the Liberals committed to supporting emergency use approval. That promise has now been broken, perhaps by the Health Minister. Alberta and Saskatchewan have called for urgent action and proposed reasonable risk mitigation measures, measures the Liberals have rejected. When will the Liberals approve emergency access to strychnine for provinces that request it?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the question. Again, Mr. Speaker, extremely important issue for the Prairie Provinces in Alberta. I've been there, I've seen it, Mr. Speaker. We're working very closely with the Department of Health, who's in charge of PMRA, and we'll continue to advocate on their behalf. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Moose Jaw Lake Centre Lanigan.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that answer doesn't deal with the crisis of bad Liberal policy in my province. There is an emergency. Farmers across my riding have been sounding the alarm bell for years. The loss of strychnine, the ban of strychnine has led to uncontrolled gopher populations, devastating crops. The government of Saskatchewan, rural municipalities, and farmers have called for emergency access to strychnine. The Liberal minister committed to farmers in my province that he would support emergency use application. Will the government listen to farmers and for once keep their promise?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very important question again, Mr. Speaker. We seem to be on a roll today, Mr. Speaker, in the Alberta District 9. We'll continue to advocate on behalf of the Prairie Provinces and Alberta. I've had consultations with both ministers responsible for those provinces, and I'll continue to communicate and collaborate with those ministers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Terra Nova, the Peninsula.
Yesterday, these Liberals voted against my bill to allow Newfoundlanders and Labradorians to access to recreational food cod fishery 7 days a week like the rest of Atlantic Canada. Now they're fishing for excuses. They wrongfully state that we never did any consultation, and they're spreading misinformation and imagining new fees. Why don't one of these Newfoundlanders stand up and tell us why they don't put political parties behind them, add amendments to address any of their concerns, and work with us to make better policies for Newfoundland and Labrador?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Mr. Speaker, fisheries management decisions must be rooted in science for the long-term economic prosperity of coastal communities. Our government will continue to make evidence-based decisions through meaningful consultations.
The Honourable Member for Argenteuil, La Petite Nation. Mr. Speaker, Budget 2025 and the accompanying Budget Implementation Act are a bold plan to respond to unprecedented economic uncertainty with a speed, scope, and scale not seen in generations. I'm pleased that this House is also responding to this critical moment with the same sense of urgency. Earlier this week, the Standing Committee on Finance completed its clause-by-clause review of Bill C-15, which we voted on last night. Can the Finance Minister remind us what measures we are voting on? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank my colleague for his excellent question. My colleagues do great work at the Finance Committee. Yesterday, my colleagues and I were very proud to vote for a generational budget on behalf of Canadians. This budget has historic, significant investments in housing, in infrastructure, as well as in competitiveness. Our budget will also enhance Canada's sovereignty. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we will always be here to build a strong Canada, to have the strongest growth in the G7, and to build the strongest economy in the G7.
Oshawa.
Yesterday, the Prime Minister said Canada's immigration system is under control. In the GTA, a man in his 30s arranged to pay $140 to sexually exploit a 15-year-old. That's my daughter's age. He was arrested with cash in hand, went to court, and because of his immigration status, will not even receive a criminal record.
Seriously?
How is that under control? When will the Prime Minister take responsibility and finally fire his immigration minister?
Absolutely. The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, since we've taken government, we've implemented many changes to the Criminal Code of Canada, making it, strengthening it, over 80 different changes to the code in C-14 alone, Mr. Speaker. It is heinous what I'm hearing from the other side, and the provincial courts should be handling these cases. These cases are tried in provincial trial courts, and they should deal with these situations as adequately as they should. And so it is really upsetting to hear these types of outcomes. I think the provinces should really be looking into this.
The Honourable Member for Oshawa.
Mr. Speaker, this case is not a one-off, and good job on these Liberals blaming the provinces. It is one of several cases where serious crimes are met with soft consequences because of loopholes in our immigration system. Canadians are tired of hearing the Liberal government say that everything is under control, while headlines prove the opposite. 3,000% increase in asylum claimants, 25,000 admissions without an in-person interview. How many more failed immigration ministers will it take before the Prime Minister admits his system is broken?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, under the Criminal Code of Canada, people who engage in criminal activity like this should be punished. There are penalties in place. There are high penalties in place. This is a failure of the administration of justice, Mr. Speaker. The administration of justice, if it worked properly, which is a provincial issue, then this incident would not occur.
The Honourable Member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals need to acknowledge that there is a huge problem with the immigration system. Honest citizens are being deported. Meanwhile, those who exploit the system are being given special treatment. There are 86,000 false asylum seekers still in Canada. 33,000 are still wanted by the Canada Border Services Agency. 25,000 asylum seekers were accepted without any security screening whatsoever. The system is just not working. Will the Prime Minister do what needs to be done? The Honourable Government House Leader.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, my colleague across the way knows full well that asylum claims decreased by 1/3 since this Prime Minister took office. The number of international students in Canada has also decreased by 1/3. And as of July 2025, the Canadian population slightly decreased after many years of growth. Mr. Speaker, our immigration system is recognized around the world as being a good one. Our system helps us attract talent to Canada, and the member knows better than what he's saying.
Mr. Speaker, the world's changing rapidly, and Canadians gave our government a strong mandate to protect our workers and industries, all the while building Canada strong. Last week, we announced the Defence Industrial Strategy, designed to transform our defence industry and make Canada more secure. Can the Minister of Industry please share what this strategy means for Canadian workers and industries across Canada?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Speaker, indeed, at a time where we're investing 2% of our GDP in defence, going towards 5% of our GDP by 2035, as other NATO countries are, we're also creating jobs. And that is why through our new defence industrial strategy, we will build the ships, the drones, the planes, the right tech, and the right AI. And while doing so, we will create, Mr. Speaker, 125,000 jobs across the country. This is good news for Canada, and we will stop to be in dependency mode. We will be in control mode here at home.
The Honourable Member for North Island, Powell River.
3 weeks ago, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Natural Resources claimed that the decision to allow Brookfield Renewables to send Canadian hydroelectricity out of Powell River to the United States with almost no benefit to Canadians was out of his hands and instead rested with Canada's energy regulator. The only problem is the regulator told me that they made their recommendation to reject the permit 2 months ago, and since that time, it's been sitting on the Minister's desk. So will the Minister commit to accepting the regulator's recommendation and to denying Brookfield this permit?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary for the Minister of Natural
The digging
Resources.
for conspiracies about Brookfield is just exhausting. I think this entire House is tired of it. We trust our regulators to make decisions, and we work on the political level to make sure that the frameworks support good decision making. I think we just have to put aside some of this conspiracy searching on the other side.
The Honourable Member for Rosemont-La Petite Patrie. The new Build Canada Homes program is shambolic and it won't work. The Prime Minister promised that 500,000 homes would be built, but according to the Parliamentary Budget Officer, Canada Homes will only build 5,000 homes per year. At that rate, it will take a century to build 500,000 homes, as promised. The program is truly a joke. What's more, there is no definition of affordable housing. There are no targets for social or cooperative housing. There are no rules on the percentage of income someone should pay. When will the Liberals take care of people?
L'honorable secrétaire parlementaire.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know that the NDP doesn't have a huge budget for doing their homework and research, But that said, I encourage them to do some more research. We held information sessions, briefings. We properly informed all parliamentarians about what Build Canada Homes will accomplish. There will be co-op housing, social housing. This will help all communities everywhere in Canada. We will build faster. We will issue permits faster. We will work with all levels of government. Mr. Speaker, we will build for all Canadians everywhere in Canada. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, 33% of people in Manitoba seeking abortion care must travel to access it. Where's the federal government? Fast-tracking projects of national interest without protections for Indigenous women and girls. Check. Blaming international students, migrants, and asylum seekers for the housing crisis. Check. Ensuring women and gender-diverse people can access their right to health care? Crickets. If the Prime Minister supports the right to safe health care, will he fund access to that care?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the honourable colleague for her very important question. For too long, women's health was a blind spot in our healthcare system. Even today, women's unique health needs continue to be misdiagnosed, misrepresented, misunderstood. While we've made real progress in advancing gender equality and women's rights, including sexual and reproductive rights, too many people around the world are rolling back these improvements. Our government will always work to remove these barriers and close the gender gap in research, ensuring equitable health care for everybody, for women.
I wish to inform the members to the presence of the gallery, Mr. Patrick Temwe, Minister of Media Communication from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
I would also draw the attention of members to the presence in the